the real Puff Daddy is.
Don't let it take my babies. It's what happened.
All you can do is run.
I'm getting this out of here.
You'd be a good mom someday, Honey Bath.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know how to lie to kids.
What's going on, YouTube? We back in the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Nimes YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key, and we back with another movie review. And this time we have Evil Dead Rise. I was definitely looking forward to this. This was one of my most anticipated horror movies coming out this year, outside of Scream 6. And honestly, this movie did not disappoint. The only thing is, compared to that 2013 one, this movie is definitely not as vicious as I expected it to be. Even with the opening sequence, which I really enjoyed, that opening sequence in that 2013 version where she started just flipping out. I mean, when she had us, well, me anyway, convinced that, yo, what you doing? Why y'all got your daughter tied up? She sitting here pleading for her life, and then she just all of a sudden turned into the demon or whatever she was possessed by. I was like, oh shit. And just the way they went about that, setting on fire and then blowing her damn head off. With this one though, as far as that opening sequence, and I love the way they kind of are playing a little homage as far as to the original one, as far as the cabin or whatever. But I was going into this one almost thinking it was kind of supposed to be almost a sequel, I guess, to the 2013 one. But more so of seeing it and actually sitting through it, I could see that it was a reboot. Outside of the way the book even looks, and just the way I feel like they are making the rules go as far as how they did this, because it seems like in that 2013 version it was some type of like something got something got solved. Like I ain't gonna say they actually defeated it, but something happened in the midst of where they was able to actually stop it or do something. In this one, it seems like, and this is going to be a spoiler review, it just seems like it's there. Like, in this opening sequence, it didn't seem like nobody had called it or anything like that, or maybe we didn't get to see that scene, but it just seemed like it was automatically there as far as the entity that was entering everybody's body or whatever, turning them into the dead or whatever, or turning them into this demon, or the demon itself that's actually entering everybody's body. But overall, man, going into this, I love the setting because, you know, as far as the Evil Dead franchise, it's always been in the woods or whatever. And once again, that's another thing, I wasn't familiar with the Evil Dead franchise. My introduction to the Evil Dead franchise is the 2013. I never watched the ones with Bruce Campbell or Ash. And make sure y'all go over to the Low Key Cave as far as my YouTube channel and check out our retro review of the Evil Dead 2013. But that's the credit I will give this movie. The only thing, as far as the separation I say with this movie in the 2013 is I feel like the 2013 movie was a lot more vicious. It had way more things in it that made me want to go like this, cover my eyes or whatever. With this one, it didn't do that as much. Like, even with the way the mother ends up being possessed or whatever, to me, that scene ain't as vicious as the way old girl in 2013 is possessed. The way the shit, as far as whatever comes out of old girl mouth, starts crawling up between her legs in that 2013 version, that shit was like, dang. And this one, it's kind of, I mean, it's still a good scene, but it just doesn't come at you the way that one did in that 2013 version. Once again, the characters in this one is what I really enjoyed about this one way more than 2013. We had a dumb character in 2013 version, Eric, who just had to read the book. He had to. In this one, I don't even get as mad as far as the kid who come across the book, because once again, it's a kid. He's naive. He's curious, and it's somebody who's, well, honestly, I don't know why he needed those certain records or whatever. But anyway, The only issue I have is like when once you see this book, because this book don't look shit like the book, man. Like I'm pretty sure if this would have been the book they found in 2013, he probably would have been like, nah, I'm good, maybe. But the fact that they get this book, and this motherfucking book got teeth on it. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong, but the Book of the Dead in this version of Evil Dead Rise got teeth on it. Nothing about this book makes you want to open it. Nothing. I didn't, man. That's my only thing to be with these movies. And I know, once again, I'm giving it credit because I'm saying this is a naive kid. At the same time, it's like, bro, like, what? As a kid, if I'm at your age and I see this book and the way it's looking, no, nothing about this makes me want to gravitate towards going through this anything. But anyway, man, going into this, the possession, it's not a slow process, but things don't really start to happen as fast as they did in the other version too. And that was another thing for me. But anyway, not saying that it was completely slow. It was just the way everything was building up as far as the mother getting possessed or whatever. And plot wise, I mean, going into this, you pretty much have this mother and her 3 kids standing in this apartment, and her sister ends up coming to visit. And she has her own little situation going on or whatever, and an earthquake pretty much happens, and then that's how this kid ends up coming across the book or whatever. He wants to go and discover this little hole or whatever that came across when the earthquake happened or whatever. So that's pretty much how the movie goes and how everything starts to happen or whatever. But once again, the family dynamic of this is what really captured me, because I wasn't sure if they was going to play it safe or they was going to try to go there. And that won't say or give anything away, but I was like, yo, okay. We have other characters outside of the family in the movie too, and I just called them victims. I ain't even going to front to you. Anytime I seen other people that's living in an apartment complex, I said victim, victim, victim. And I mean, hey, I'm not giving nothing away, but I mean, I just seen victims. Once she actually gets possessed, as far as the mother, she does a good job. She really does. She has some very, very, very gnarly scenes, man. And one thing I was wondering throughout this movie too is because it felt like, was she gonna be the only one that was possessed? And she is not. I won't say who gets possessed, but she is definitely not the only one who ends up getting possessed or whatever. But as far as her being the main one possessed, and especially compared to the 2013 version, she comes off kind of a little bit more. She ain't as she don't come as hard as my girl in 2013. And I know I keep making those comparisons, but it's just the way my girl was talking her shit and the way she kind of would come off creepy, then she would come off kind of funny a little bit as far as the 2013. One thing I would get this credit for is she comes off creepy all the time as far as the mother when she actually is possessed, and she comes off kind of scary. They do have some funny moments in here and there. Outside of that though, it's very much took it more serious. It's definitely a serious version outside of, the Ash version or whatever. And I'm guessing that's what they're going to stick with as far as the tone of the Evil Dead, because I always knew, and like I said, I never watched the original ones, but I know after that first Evil Dead going into like Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness and all that, it went more on the silly route or whatever. But going into this, like I said, I was more so trying to see just how brutal it was going to be. Because like I said, my introduction to that 2013 version, my man getting shot up with the nail gun and the crowbar, and him getting hit in the, punctured in the eye or whatever, and she having to pull a needle or whatever out his eye. To me, I never got those moments in here, outside of probably the cheese grater. One thing in particular though, once they start to go towards the end, they do something very different that I didn't know they was going to go with, and that shit is it's messed up. It's messed up. And I was like, oh my God, like they really going there. And at that point I felt like ain't nobody could be saved. Because in the first one, old buddy ended up saving his sister. And I'm not saying nobody gets saved in this one or nobody don't, but it's some shit that ends up happening where I'm like, it just don't seem like it's going to be possible now. Like, it's over. It's over. And, man. It's the, I'm trying to think of the scene outside of the trees greater scene. It's another scene in here that does make you want to turn your eyes, man. But more so than anything, just trying to follow the family and follow the protagonist as far as the sister who ends up being the main one that ends up trying to save the kids. It's a good person that you want to follow. It's a person that you actually cheering for, because having a leading person is somebody that you actually want to see survive. Yes, And that's one thing I said outside of the 2013 version, who I didn't care if all of them died. Outside of the brother and sister relationship they had in the 2013 version. In this one, though, I wanted to see the family make it. I did. And I really wanted to see the mother get saved. Because once you actually are introduced to this family, she seems like a very hardworking mother. She's trying to take care of her family. She has certain things going on as far as her finances and as far as her living situation, where she's trying to make some things happen. And that's one of the things where it actually made you care about the mother. And I was like, damn, can we actually maybe save her? Is there going to be a possible chance that she actually can get redeemed or whatever? So that's one of the things that kept me going too throughout the movie. And I'm not going to say she does or she doesn't. Other things as far as the scare factor, because once again, 2013 Evil Dead, that's one thing, that movie is not really that scary to me. It's brutal and it's vicious, but it's not that scary. This one was definitely a little bit more scarier to me. It definitely had a couple moments of jump scares for me that definitely got me. And once again, it had moments where I wasn't expecting, especially when we got certain transformations and people who actually started to turn. And that's one thing I actually enjoyed about this one, is that build-up. It's definitely a lot more of a build-up. I feel like I said it had kind of a slow pace, but once things start to actually happen and stuff that I wasn't actually expecting, that's when I was just sitting there like, oh shit, like they are going there. Like they letting this go ahead and go. So, more so than anything, it had moments in here that I didn't see coming, and that's where it pretty much gave me an indication that this is going to be a full-on reboot. Another thing I really enjoyed is kind of getting the indication that we can do more, or we are going to do more, especially if this ends up making a lot of money, which I've seen that it has been making money. So it has a bit of a mystery. It definitely does, and I actually like that, because we kind of were getting some answers or whatever in that first one. And in this one, you kind of had those moments where you like, okay, how is this working? Or ain't this supposed to happen once these certain amount of people die or whatever? And you can see they kind of changing certain things or changing certain rules with the Book of the Dead or whatever. So that's what I was saying about the beginning and even with the end, because it's kind of like this still a mystery. It's like, okay, so what's actually going on? Or can certain things be stopped? Or are they going to be able to actually get away from this situation? It's a lot. So at the beginning, I ain't going to say it's so much of a question, but definitely towards the end, it's kind of a question, but it's not a bad question. It's like, okay, where are they going to try to go with this now? So outside of that, though, Evil Dead Rise was definitely got my attention. It definitely was a good time at the movies as far as overall horror movie, because I was so much more comparing it to the one that I actually really, really enjoyed, which is that 2013 version. What I will say is it's a very good horror movie. It's definitely a good horror movie. It's not a bad horror movie at all. It's a very good horror movie. And man, I'm telling you, I'm just loving the fact that not only are we getting these good horror movies already, because we got a lot of good ones last year, but we getting these rejuvenized horror movies as far as the ones we got from the the late 80s or the early 90s. And they're not trying to rehash a bunch of things. They're trying to do a bunch of new things. Scream 6, what it's been doing, and even with this Evil Dead. But definitely let me know how y'all feeling as far as Evil Dead Rise. Did y'all enjoy the ride? Do y'all want to see more? Let me know if y'all feel like they got more coming, and what kind of y'all expectations for more if they are coming. Make sure y'all go over there and check out Perk Minded channel. I know he got his Evil Dead review, and I think he posted up something as far as expectations for new Evil Dead movies. Outside of that, make sure y'all hit that like button. My bad, I had to catch my breath. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Let you know I upload new videos. Other than that, we out.